Congratulations.
Not an ordinary election, not an ordinary time. The words of incumbent Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern after she secured a rare outright majority, the first in decades.
Tonight, New Zealand has shown the Labour Party its greatest support in at least 50 years. We have seen that support in both urban areas and in rural areas, in seats we may have hoped for, but in those equally we may not have expected.
Ardern won a second term after steering the country through a series of crises. After the Christchurch mosque shootings last year, Ardern swiftly banned military-style weapons and introduced a gun buyback scheme. She won praise for her handling of the COVID-19 crisis. The country has recorded only 25 deaths so far. Ardern also became the second world leader to give birth while in office. Her main challenge was from Judith Collins of the Conservative National Party. But her blunt, no-nonsense approach failed to resonate with voters. After the celebrations, Ardern's challenge will be to steer the country out of its deepest recession in more than 30 years.
I'm joined now by Samantha Early, a journalist in Christchurch. Samantha, good to have you with us. It's looking like not just a win, but a historic victory for Ardern. Was she expected to win by such a large margin?
Well, a lot of polls had predicted a victory, some this sort of outright majority that we've seen tonight, but most were predicting that she would need to form a coalition government with the Greens. And under our electoral system here in New Zealand, coalition governments are what's been favoured, what's usually needed to form a governing majority. So it is quite a historic moment that Labour has picked up enough to potentially govern alone.
What has she briefly outlined as her plan for the next term?
Well, it's really building back better from the COVID crisis. She told supporters they plan to carry on investing in infrastructure, things like training, and that they now have the mandate to accelerate those plans.
Jacinda Ardern is very popular internationally, you must know. I mean, winning praise for her reaction to the pandemic as well as that right-wing terrorist attack in Christchurch. But I wonder, as we consider these results, if she faced any criticism at all for her handling of other critical issues that the country clearly faces.
Yes, domestically, plenty of criticism, actually, although very widespread support. The other success story of this election was the ACT Party, the Free Market Libertarian Party, who's been very vocal, probably one of the most vocal in terms of criticising various Labour policies. And they've gone from 0.5% of the vote last time to 8% now, moving from one member of parliament to 10. So that shows you something about the, some opposition there to Ardern. And also, you have to expect scrutiny of the debt that the government's going into with the COVID response. And the opposition leader, the national leader, Judith Collins, said that New Zealand is in for a tough economic ride and that it's going to need better fiscal policy than we have so far seen. That's what Judith Collins said. And she also said expect National, once they've had a bit of time to reflect, to be a robust opposition. So a lot of challenges there for Jacinda Ardern, also in key areas where she promised or outlined really wanting to make transformational change, things like housing, climate change and child poverty, widely seen as areas where not as much progress was made in these past 3 years as a lot of her supporters and New Zealanders would have liked. So big challenges there for her.
Samantha Early in Christchurch, thank you so much.